Welcome everyone to the official press conference for the 66th Annual National Father of the Year Awards Luncheon. My name is Richard Wurzberger, and I have the honor and privilege to serve as the chairman of the National Father's Day Committee. It is now my pleasure to introduce you to the moderator to our press conference, a man who many, and I include myself, consider the greatest shortstop in baseball history. He won 13 Gold Gloves, was selected to 15 All-Star games, played in 3 World Series, winning one in 1982, a member of the Baseball Hall of Fame, and the 1986 Father of the Year himself. My good friend, the Wizard of Oz, Ozzie Smith.
Thank you very much, Richie, and hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning. As you can see, we have a very prestigious and exciting group of Father of the Year honorees here this year, and I'd like to take a moment to introduce each one of them to you. So please hold your applause till I introduce all of them. And before I get started, too, Senator Edwards is running a little late, and hopefully he'll join us here very shortly. First, I'd like to introduce somebody who gave me a lot of sleepless nights. And I'm introducing him first because he has a game and has to get over to Shea Stadium. This is one of the greatest left-handed pitchers in baseball history, Tom Glavine of the New York Mets, who's a father of 1 daughter and 3 sons. Tom has to get over to Shea, as I mentioned, so he probably won't be sticking around. Tom Glavine. Next is General George William Casey Jr., who has 2 adult sons and 5 grandchildren. Mr. Casey. One of the most famous and popular pro wrestlers of all time and father of a very well-known daughter and son, Mr. Hulk Hogan. Now, immediately on my left is Alan Serkin, President and COO of Phillips Van Heusen, who will receive both the Father of the Year and the Milton J. Margulis Humanitarian of the Year award today. Alan has a daughter, Amy, and a son, David, and 3 grandchildren. Alan Serkin. Moving on, our next 2007 Father of the Year is Harry Smith, co-host of the CBS TV Early Show. Harry and his wife, Andrea Joyce, have 2 sons. Harry Smith. Our next honoree is Dwayne Wade of the NBA's Miami Heat, a 3-time All-Star. He is the father of 2 sons, 5-year-old Zaire and Zion Malachi Aramis, who was born last week on May 29th. All right, Dwayne Wade. And as I mentioned, Senator Edwards hopefully will join us here in a little bit. Next to Dwayne is the 2007 Ashok Sani All-Star Dad, selected by our Blue Ribbon panel of judges from among thousands of letters written about great fathers all over the country. The winner this year is Larry Whitcomb of Great Valley, New York, who has 1 son, Christopher, and 1 daughter, Megan. Congratulations to all of you. Here's the first question that I'd like to ask all the dads. What lessons did you learn from your own father that have helped you be a better parent today? Tom, we'll start with you and we'll work our way back. Yes.
Lessons I learned from my dad. Leadership, commitment, just always being around. I mean, my dad had his own construction company, and it wasn't uncommon for him to go to work at 5 o'clock in the morning if that's what it took to get the day's work done, to get to a ball game of mine or to get to a school function. I think watching him do that made me understand the commitment of prioritizing what's important in your life, and certainly for him, his family was the most important thing. So I got a lot of my leadership qualities, my commitment qualities, and my desire to be a huge influence in my children's life from my dad.
Right. General Casey.
I think it was the importance of family. My father was in the military.
Put a little closer to you. There we go.
My father was in the military as well. And he was always, when he was not out in the field training or in Vietnam, he was home for us, and I took that to heart with my own children. The other part of it is the importance of that time together. When he was killed, all those moments together became much more precious. So it's the importance of family and time together.
All right. Mr. Hogan.
Well, my father,
Oh, you don't need it. He doesn't need a mic.
basically being very consistent, and your demeanor with your family. I think always being there, always being someone that you can depend on and rely on is very important. And as far as demeanor with your family, not overreacting, not making things bigger or larger than they really are, being a realist about things, and being level-headed. Cooler heads prevail, so my dad was very, very level-headed, and his demeanor is what I love so much about him. He was a real constant, and he always, never had a bad word to say about anybody. He was very, very kind, and those were the qualities that most influenced me from my father.
Thank you. Mr. Serkin.
Well, I think I was born in a different generation. My parents were a little bit from the old school. They taught by actions, not by words. They set the example. It was really our job as children to absorb and learn. My father preached integrity. He preached honesty. He said, "Do what you say, and live to your beliefs." He was a rock. And, the punchline was, give your kids a hug every day and tell them you love them.
Great.
The only reason I accepted this award today was so I could talk about my own father. I'm the youngest of 8 children, and my father only made it through junior high school, and he worked 2 jobs almost his entire life to put a roof over our heads and food on the table. And like a lot of other sons, I was sometimes at loggerheads with my own father. But it wasn't until I had my own son that I realized that he did the best he could. And that was the most important lesson that I learned, that he did the best he could.
Well, I think my story is a little different than everyone I heard. I'm from a broken home, so I guess I did the opposite of everything that happened with my father growing up. So I kind of fended on my own, at the age of 20, having a son, and really not knowing what to do. I just tried to be to him what I wanted my father to be to me, and it's worked out so far. So I think I just did the opposite of what was in my life growing up.
I lost my dad when I was 17, but before that, anytime my father would look at his children or his wife, you could see the twinkle in his eye, kind of like Kris Kringle at 54th Street there. But he just loved his children, and he taught me that the importance of that love and time well spent. Even though we had a short time together, the time was well spent. And he taught me sacrifice and try not to ever miss any of my children's game. And fortunately, where I live and what I do afforded me that opportunity to be there at all those moments. So.
All right, great responses. If you could overhear one or more of your children talking with their friends, what would you hope they'd be saying?
Well, my son's always been after me to wear shorter white socks. He just says it's not the style today, and but I also know that he would speak of the work ethic that I've had, the never give, no matter what the odds. I always love stacking the odds against me in an athletic event to see if we could pull it off. And but the perseverance, the hard work ethic, and always trying to be there for my family.
Dwayne.
Well, I think all fathers love to be cool. You want your son to say you cool, and of course, I like for my son to brag on me. I want to be his favorite NBA player, not LeBron, which is. But more than that, I want him to say that, not only that, his father, is someone that plays basketball. His father is someone who helped him in his everyday with school and with his work. When he come home, help him with his homework, and just be proud, that his father can be in his life and be able to help him, with other things in life. So.
That's a tough question. I have 13 and 17-year-old sons, and I know I'm not cool, especially when there's curfews and grades and other kinds of issues like that.
You're not hard on them, are you?
I'm I used to say I'm the ogre dad of the Upper West Side. So, it's interesting because in the end, I think what pays is what's in the end, because they may not appreciate it when they're 13 or 17, but you hope they'll appreciate it when they're 27.
They will.
My children are grown. They have children of their own. I'm sure what they would have said 20 years ago would change today, very much like Harry. Hopefully, as they grow older, you get smarter, even though you may not actually be getting any smarter. Maybe they appreciate it better. What would really resonate for me is if they said it's okay to hang out with Dad. He's not such a bad guy.
Well, at the end of the day, like Harry said, that's what really matters. If I was a fly on the wall, I'd love to hear my children say that I was a good man and basically was loyal and trustworthy. Those are the main things I would want them to think of me as.
Thanks.
I think two things, what I think they'd say and what I hope they'd say. But what I think they'd say is he was kind of a pain in the butt when we were in high school, but he sure learned a lot in the last 15 years. And what I hope they'd say is he taught us the importance of family, and he set a great example for us.
Right.
Probably a combination of all the answers. Like Dwayne said, I would like to think my kids think I'm cool, which they're young enough now that they probably still kind of do. I have two on the cusp of teenagehood, so I'm sure I'll be turning into a geek to them before too much longer here. But I hope they would think that I was a good influence, accountable, had good integrity. But like it's been said, so many things of what they say now will change. But ultimately, I hope it's what I think about my parents now that I've grown up and been through childhood, that they were the greatest influence I've had in my life, and they were tremendous providers for me.
Oh, thank you. I know I had said earlier that Tom was going to leave. He's going to stay for lunch. And
free
he'll
lunch.
leave.
I gotta stay.
Free lunch, so he's going to stay after lunch. We also have another surprise for somebody up here that doesn't know this is going to happen. So could that person come up, please? And Ira. Dwayne, we have a surprise. It's Mrs. Wade. How are you? Dwayne's mother. Yeah. We had no idea she was coming. Welcome. You're very welcome.
Give him a hug.
Yeah.
Oh.
Very surprising, mother.
There you go. Oh, that's great.
This way. This way, boss. Use that mic right. Use that mic right there.
How do you deal with all these cameras on this show?
It's tough. It's tough. Definitely need a break.
And just pull it up. There you go. Dwayne, help your mother, man.
I'm going to be very brief. This is an honor to have been invited here to such an honor, my son, to receive a Father's Day award. And I just want to say that I have witnessed firsthand that he is a wonderful father. And I'm not saying that because I'm prejudiced and this is my son, but it's because I really genuinely see that quality in him. As a father, he lets his kid know it's okay to be human. See, a lot of us fathers think they have to be Superman, but he lets them know, no, you can be human, you can make mistakes, but the thing is, you got to learn how to rectify your mistakes. He sits and he talks with them. He spends that quality time with them. They laugh together, they play together, and when you see his son look up and his eyes, big eyes looking up at his dad, I'm telling you, it just can take your breath away, because a lot of people don't get a chance to enjoy such a time as that in their lives when they small like that. So I thank God for my son being the father that he is today, and I pray that he got two now. You heard about it, right? Okay, so now he have two men to raise. I call them little men already. He have two men to raise, and they're going to be fantastic because he's a fantastic young man.
Thank you. That concludes the formal press conference. I'd like to say thank you to all of the media for joining us here this morning. I'd like to invite our luncheon guests to move into the Manhattan Ballroom at this time, and would the dais please remain here until we can line up to go into the ballroom. Thank you all for coming.
Friends, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege, honor to officially call to order the 66th Annual National Father of the Year Awards. At this time, I'd like to ask you to please stand. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have our national anthem sung by Sergeant First Class Brandon Butcher from the New York City Medical Recruiting Company, United States Army. Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant Butcher.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Very well done. You'd all have your seats, please. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, it's my privilege to introduce to you the chairman of today's awards program, Mr. Richard A. Wurzburger. Richard has long been associated with the National Father's Day Committee. This marks his third year as our committee chairman. Richard, Senior Vice President of Peerless Clothing, the largest tailored clothing company in North America. I had to get that in, Richard. Terrific dad, wife Jennifer, two boys, Ryan and Gavin. Richard Wurzburger.
Thank you, Joe. And thanks to all of you for joining us today for the 66th Annual National Father of the Year Awards Luncheon. And thank you for the contributions you have made. We have set a modern-day record in both attendance and funds raised. So please give yourselves, as well as the outstanding National Father's Day Committee and our distinguished honorees, a big hand. We have an amazing group of honorees today, and I would like to congratulate all of you on receiving your awards today. This must be the finest group of men that we've ever assembled in our 66-year history. Being a father is both the greatest moment of a man's life as well as the scariest. The joy and excitement that runs through your body every time you look at your child is a feeling you can't put into words. The fear of knowing that you are responsible for molding and shaping these young minds is truly scary. Who else can bring such joy and a smile to your face than a child? When they are young, you are enamored by their innocence and their curiosity. As they get older and hit those teen years, they try their hardest to drive you crazy and pull your hair out. By the time they become young adults, they make you proud when you see the young man or woman that they've become. It is very important that children today have a positive role model with strong values. Who better for that role than parents and grandparents? What you say in front of them is very crucial because kids want to emulate their parents. Every morning, my two sons, Ryan, who's 6.5, and Gavin, who's 4, fight over who gets to pick out what tie I should wear that day and who is going to make my cup of coffee for my ride to work. They love to come to work with me and spend the day in the office. They see me wear a suit every day, so under their own discretion, they always put on a blazer and tie when they come to my office. They want to be just like Daddy, and we must remember that in all of our actions and behaviors. It is important that we teach them the difference from right and wrong, and that we teach them about charity and helping the less fortunate, and that we teach them to treat people the way that they want to be treated, and that we teach them to be the person that we want them to be. I am proud to announce that the proceeds from today's luncheon will be donated to our charitable partner, Save the Children's U.S. programs, which benefit almost 35,000 youngsters who live in areas of persistent rural poverty in America. Partnering with schools and community organizations, Save the Children provides high-quality early childhood development services for children with birth to age 5 and literacy and physical activity nutrition programs for children from kindergarten through 8th grade. It is now my pleasure and honor to present not one, but 2 special awards to an icon in the apparel industry. Alan Sirkin is both a great humanitarian and a terrific father and grandfather. I can attest to the latter part as his son David, wave David, his son David and I have become friends over the past few years. The relationship and bond that they have is extremely close. The respect and friendship that they share for each other is very special. I remember the first time that I met Alan. We were having dinner together with a group of around 12 to 14 people, and all of a sudden, one of the gentlemen at our table stood up and his face was blue, while the rest of us just sat there with a look on our face that was a state of shock. Alan jumped up and performed the Heimlich maneuver and saved the man's life. To be able to stay calm, oh, you got to give him a louder applause than that. He saved a man's life. But to be able to stay calm and react in a pressure situation is definitely one of Alan's true leadership skills. This afternoon, Alan becomes only the 3rd honoree in 66 years to simultaneously receive the Father of the Year and the Milton J. Margolis Humanitarian Award. Alan has been with Phillips Van Heusen for over 20 years and is currently the President and Chief Operating Officer. He has been credited with making PVH the world's largest dress shirt company and for taking their dress shirt group to record levels of growth and profitability. Through his efforts at work and at home in his local community, Alan is a very generous individual, supporting numerous charities and organizations. He and his wife, Bonnie, have 2 children, daughter Amy and son David, and 3 grandchildren, Noah, Emma, and Jamie. It is now my great pleasure and honor to present both a 2007 Father of the Year Award and the Milton J. Margolis Humanitarian Award to a man who I admire and look up to in business, and somebody that I'm very proud to have as a friend and confidant, Mr. Alan Sirkin.
Here's the Margolis Award, and the Father of the Year is on the end.
Are they later? Here's the Margolis.
Good for you, baby.
Okay, thank you very much. That's good. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Richard. Thanks for the glowing remarks and wonderful introduction. I'll give lessons later on Heimlich. I think I broke his rib, but it worked. I'm really thrilled to be here today. Special thanks to the National Father's Day Council and Committee on naming me for these two most prestigious awards. Being non-business related, they have special meaning in my life. I'm very appreciative of those honors. Congratulations to my fellow honorees. This is a star-studded group of individuals and fathers. It is really a pleasure to be part of it. We all share that common bond of fatherhood, and I wish you all well and celebrate the day with your families and friends. It was in my life's journey has spanned some 24,000 days. I counted them up before I came here. And within those 24,000 days, there are 3 days that are memorable, special, and unforgettable in my life. One was a cold, snowy day in January. One was a chilly, cool day in November. And one was a hot, sunny day in August. You tell him, kid. She's mine, and it's okay. Those 3 days represent my marriage to my bride, Bonnie, my lifelong partner and best friend. The day in November was the birth of my daughter, my loving, caring, sweet daughter. And the day in August was the birthday of my son and buddy, David. When that was complete, our family grew. Joy, love, friendship, togetherness, a little bit of frustration brought me to this podium today. So I am forever grateful for that journey. Today, my children are adults, and they have kids of their own and are now experiencing the same joy, love, and hopefully a little frustration that goes along with parenthood. So I am very appreciative. I am glad that my children are with me today, their wives and husbands, Henry, Ann, my grandchildren, Jamie, Emma, and a very smartly dressed Noah. Thanks for being here today. I'm really a very blessed individual. Today I'm really doubly blessed because of the award of the Humanitarian Award of the Year. I met Milt Margolis many years ago. I met him several times and was really impressed with the respect that he received from his peers throughout our industry, something that is very difficult to accomplish. When I was named to this award, I received a lot of congratulations letters. One of them came from a dear friend and partner of his, Howard Cohen, who worked and lived with him for many years. And in that letter, he spoke to the specialness of that individual, Milt Margolis. And as he described it, the bottom line was he was a unique and special man. He was a man of great giving and caring on many levels. But when you really looked into the essence of the man, what he did was from his heart and with great caring. He was a true gentleman, and I am truly honored and humbled to accept the humanitarian award bearing his name. So I thank you for that. And last but not least, I thank all of you for joining us today. I thank my family and friends for being here. I thank my associates, my extended family at PVH for being here, and thank them for pulling together this incredible day for me. And I thank all of you, because at the end of the day, thank you for your support of all the honorees, but more important, thank you for your charity, because it is your charity today that will help the Save the Children Foundation and will help deprived children who are certainly less fortunate than my children and your children to find a better way in life and a better opportunity. So I thank you for both awards. I thank you for your attendance, and I thank you for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan, and congratulations again. It is now my pleasure and honor to introduce the President of the National Father's Day Mother's Day Council, a man who has given so unselfishly of his time and his heart to this wonderful organization. Ladies and gentlemen, my big brother, Senior Vice President of Macy's Merchandising Group, and father of 3 terrific kids, Mr. Stuart Goldblatt.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Rich. Before you sit down, Rich, I just want to present to you, where's that gift? Right there. Should be. Come up here. Rich does such a great job. This is his 3rd year in speaking for the Mother's Day and Father's Day Council. I'd like to recognize Rich for his extraordinary work. He gets this done in 6 meetings in a year and pulls it off, and I want to thank him for all his hard work, and I really appreciate it. He's done a great job. Yep. There you go. I think it takes a lot of polishing, that thing. When I had lunch with Alan Sirkin and was choking, he asked for the check. So I guess he has different. Okay, today's a great day. Really, a special thank you to Malcolm Robinson at PVH, who really corralled the forces to get this done. And what a beautiful room we have. Thank you, Lily Sidorovich, for getting that done. Really terrific. Thank you. I'm honored to present the Ashok Sani All-Star Dad Award. This award is sponsored by Men's Health Magazine and the Sani Family Foundation. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Ashok Sani and this award. I can't believe that it's been 3 years since Ashok Sani has been gone from this world. If I were to ask Ashok Sani what he would want me to say today, he would say, "Be brief, please be brief." So Ashok Sani was a most marvelous and humble man. He possessed a brilliant and clever repartee, and that was matched with an incredible business acumen, which was punctuated by this warm smile and a twinkle in his eye. He was smart, clever, entrepreneurial. He was brilliant. Ashok graduated summa cum laude from NYU Business School in 1974, and he was the torchbearer for that class. So don't try to do the math on how old Ashok was, because at the time of his graduation, he was the youngest graduate ever from NYU. Of course, Ashok's most significant accomplishment was the fact that he was the most loving husband to his wife, Shalu, and most caring, concerned, loving, and honored father to his sons, Suraj and Monish. Ashok Sani was a family man. He never used the pronoun I. It was always the family. Not in a Tony Soprano way, but it was more in an inclusive and supportive way. So I know all of this for a fact, as Ashok Sani was my dear friend, and I know he was one to many in this room today. He was a mentor and a confidant to me. I've been involved in this organization for over 20 years in some way, shape, or form. About 6 years ago, when I was the luncheon chairman, as Rich is today, I asked Ashok for his, of course, advice and support. His response at the time was, forget about the lunch, send everyone a note, ask them for a donation, and give all the money to charity. Did you ever think of that? Well, yes, Ashok, the contrarian, could be challenging at times, and we loved him even more for that. He was a teacher and an educator to many of us in this room, and including me. As we remember Ashok Sani and honor him today, it is also justified that this year's Ashok Sani All-Star Dad winner is Mr. Lawrence Whitcomb, an educator, a teacher. Ashok, we miss you. You are not forgotten. Also, I did not take your advice. We invited our great industry together to gather here in this place, all 800 strong. And we're here to honor your family. We're here to honor your memory. And we're here to honor the Ashok Sani All-Star Dad for 2007, Larry Whitcomb. Larry, will you join me at the podium, please? Larry is being honored today after his son Christopher entered an essay contest in Men's Health Magazine, asking a simple question: tell me why your father is an all-star dad. After thousands of entries, the selection committee, led by the Sani family, and reviewing with rigor the essay, selected Christopher Whitcomb's essay about his father to be the winner. Before I read the essay, let me tell you a little bit about Larry. It's nice to meet him today. Larry is the principal of Salamanca, New York Middle School in Western New York State, where he makes a major difference in the daily routines of hundreds of students. He also has been heavily involved in the lives of his own children, Christopher, now in his 20s, who wrote the nominating letter, and his 19-year-old daughter, Megan. I can say, after meeting Larry and his wife, Connie, that they've done a wonderful job with these children. They're just terrific. Now I'd like to read you the essay that Christopher wrote. Larry Whitcomb became a father well before he expected. His own father passed away when Larry was 17. Larry then had to help his mother, 5 siblings, and an aunt who was battling MS survive. While everyone pitched in, Larry's fatherly courage helped in the family members to get by every day. He sacrificed parts of his own youth as a young father figure in his home. He overcame the pain of losing his father and still lives near his family. From math teacher to principal at Salamanca schools, Larry's been a father figure for every student who's passed through his hometown, always willing to stay late, tutor, help out. Larry often hears stories from students about how much he meant to them. Now, when he's not helping students and thus strengthening his community, Larry is also my father. My sister and I can't recall one important moment in our lives he wasn't there for us. From basketball to ballet, he always showed us this with love. Now in our 20s, we call him and our mother best friends as often as parents. Signed, Christopher Whitcomb. Congratulations.
That's not fair. You should have let me speak before you read it. I'd like to thank Sunil Sani. You've been a wonderful host. The entire Sani family. The more I get you, the more I meet, the more I like all of you. It's a strong thing that he's bestowed upon you, Ashok. You can see the strong family unity, and I feel part of it today. I believe the best part of a man is imparted on those that he loved and cared for. And it's a great honor today that I received the award in memory of Ashok C. Sani. It's a real testament to the man he was. I get to share the stage with some pretty accomplished men here this evening, but we all do share the one accomplishment of fatherhood. And it's an honor to share the stage with you gentlemen today. I got here because of the Sani family, but I also got here because of my own family. When my dad was taken from us when he was young, the family bonded together. My brothers and sisters, we became quite a team. Joining forces with my mother and my aunt, we found a way to carry on. I had 3 parents, actually. It's kind of odd, but 3 parents. My mother was always my true north. She's always taught me to do the right thing no matter what the cost. My aunt, a brilliant mind trapped in a diseased body, lived with us all of our life. She taught me strength, faith, perseverance. My father, he taught me how to love. He taught me how to love my wife. You know how much you mean to me, and now everyone else does. My children, all the memories, from fishing with Clifford, the big red dog, to all the basketball, softball, swim meets, dancing with my daughter on stage, and that's no small feat, believe me. She made me look pretty much a fool that day. But the memories with you I'll cherish to all the days of my life. And finally, my son. The day they called and read the article, I already won. And someday, not in the far distant future, you're going to open a card on a Father's Day with some scratching in there from your own children, and you're going to know just how I feel. Thank you. Thank you.
I got to move this down a little bit. Larry, that was beautiful. Thank you very much. Our MC for today's luncheon was honored in 1986 as the National Father of the Year, but you all know him for his illustrious and acrobatic Hall of Fame baseball career. He started every game by running out to shortstop and doing his patented flip. The Wizard won 13 Gold Gloves, was selected to 15 All-Star games, and was the 1985 NLCS MVP. In 1989, he received the Lou Gehrig Award, in 1994, the Branch Rickey Award, and in 1995, the Roberto Clemente Award, all for his community service. And in 2003, he was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Shortly after his playing days were over, Smith took over for the late Mel Allen as the host of the long-running TV series This Week in Baseball. Now, I don't want you all to think that we only asked him to be the MC today because he is famous. Knowing that most of the audience today is from the apparel industry, we looked for somebody with good taste and a strong knowledge of fashion. And back in the 80s, which most of you might not remember, Ozzie was on the cover of GQ magazine, sporting a gray sharkskin double-breasted suit, which happens to be my father's favorite. And so, as you can see, we went for somebody that really understands fashion. And he was a little bit ahead of his time because, as you see from the pink pocket square, pink is back and hot. So Ozzie was looking very good there. So what do you say that maybe we'll get Ozzie to autograph this in a little while, and we'll also throw this into our raffle, which they are walking around. If you see anybody in red shirts, they are selling the raffle tickets, so please buy tickets. There's a big prize, which is a Mets fantasy package, which you'll hear about, but also you might go home with the most stylish man in the room to hang on your wall. In the 1985 NLCS versus the Dodgers, Ozzie hit a game-winning home run in the ninth to put the Cardinals into the World Series. This homer was made famous for its radio call by broadcaster Jack Buck, who said, "Smith corks one into right, down the line, it may go." And as the ball landed over the fence, Buck continued, "Go crazy, folks, go crazy." So ladies and gentlemen, my good friend and our MC for today's luncheon, Mr. Ozzie Smith. So go crazy, folks, go crazy.
Where did you find this? Am I better looking now? Woo. You doubt what you? Oh, Ronnie. Thank you very much, Richard, especially for providing me with the great privilege of serving as the Master of Ceremonies for the 66th Annual Father of the Year Luncheon today. As you know, I received this very special award 21 years ago while I was still an active player. It was one of the greatest honors I'd received up until that time, and it still remains a vivid and very cherished memory. Many of us are lucky enough to be recognized for our fielding ability, hitting consistency, and strength, success on the mound, and our acumen in the dugout. But to be named the National Father of the Year and have people that you respect tell you in a room full of esteemed guests that you are a wonderful human being and giving and charitable person and a caring and involved parent, that means so much more to all of us. So I'd like to congratulate all of the dads up here on the dais today, along with the members of the National Father's Day Committee who made this event possible, and the other VIP guests who have contributed so much to today's success. I would now like to invite you to enjoy your lunch, and we'll be back with you very shortly for the rest of the exciting and entertaining program. I also like to mention there is a silent auction going on, so take a look at some of the items out there, and you can do that during the break, and we'll be back with you shortly.
I'd like to reintroduce to you our MC, Ozzie Smith. Ozzie?
All right. Thank you, Joe. Hello again, I'm Ozzie Smith, your Master of Ceremonies for the remainder of this afternoon's exciting program. I hope all of you enjoyed your lunch and are now ready for some terrific, memorable presentations. Therefore, I'd like to invite all of you to get comfortable in your seats as we're going to start the second half of our award presentation at this time. Our first Father of the Year is a longtime broadcast journalist who has been an anchor of CBS TV's The Early Show since October of 2002. In addition, he also hosts a daily radio news and analysis feature, Just a Minute, on CBS News Radio Network. In addition, he serves as substitute anchor and occasional correspondent for CBS Sunday Morning News and has anchored and contributed to network documentaries including The Popular 48 Hours. The list of political and public figures of our honoree has interviewed in his long and celebrated career include Presidents Carter, Nixon, Ford, Clinton, and H.W. Bush, Vice President Dick Cheney, First Lady Laura Bush, and Secretary of States Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice. He and his wife, NBC Sports anchor reporter Andrea Joyce, live in New York City with their 2 sons. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome 2007 Father of the Year, Harry Smith.
Really appreciate it. General Casey, too, should have been on that list last May in Baghdad, as a matter of fact. When I was first contacted and somebody said, would you be interested in receiving this award, the first thing I thought about was my own father. And a lot of men sometimes do not have the best relationships with their fathers. We end up in competition. We end up fighting for our place in the family hierarchy. And I had a somewhat abrasive relationship with my own father. I'm the youngest of 8 children. And my father made it through junior high school, and he was one tough old Dutchman. Not a lot of humor around the house. And he worked 2 jobs most of his life to put a roof over our heads. But the moment my wife became pregnant with our first child, I turned to her and I said, I know what we're going to name him. Now, I live in a very modern marriage where everything is negotiable. And my wife turned to me and started to open her mouth, and I said, no, 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 you don't understand. I've understood something with absolute clarity for the first time in my life, and that was just what my father really meant to me. So I said, we're going to name my son after my father. So my oldest son's name is Jacob Paul Smith, and my father was Big Jake Smith. And the most important thing that he did was he stayed. He stayed and he worked hard. And as I've grown to become a man, an adult, and have seen what life is really like in the world, I've come to find out that in that era, it wasn't uncommon for men to just walk away. As I found out in subsequent years, my own mother's father walked out on 12 children. My wife's mother's father walked out on 6. My father, this tough old Dutchman who didn't have a great sense of humor, stayed and he worked his butt off. And he provided as best he could for these 8 crazy children. The other thing he gave me that was probably the most important thing of all was when he'd get off the milk truck at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, he'd come home, he'd sit on the couch, he'd turn on the TV, and he'd read the afternoon paper, then the Chicago Daily News. This is a guy who never made it past junior high school. He'd read the newspaper, and he'd watch Walter Cronkite, and when he was done with his news, then we could eat. People asked, why'd you decide to become a newsman? It was the only thing I knew that was really important to him, and it ended up being very important to me. Thank you so much for this honor.
Thank you, Harry. Our next honoree was first elected to the United States Senate in 1998 from his home state of North Carolina. He quickly became a member of the Select Committee on Intelligence and became well known around the country for championing critical issues affecting families, concerns such as quality health care, better schools, and protecting civil liberties. In 2004, he was selected to serve as Senator John Kerry's running mate in the 2004 general election. and has since stayed in the forefront in the fight against poverty. And as many of you know, he recently announced his bid to run for president in 2008. He and his wife Elizabeth had 4 children, Catherine, Emma Claire, Jack, and Wade, who passed away in 1996. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with my great pleasure that I bring up to you to receive the 2007 Father of the Year Award, Senator John Edwards.
Please. All right, the first lesson all of you have to learn is when politicians do this, they don't mean it. That's what they really mean. It's a great pleasure for me to be here with all of you and with this extraordinary organization. And I have to say, kudos and applause for the proceeds of this event going to Save the Children, which is a wonderful organization, very near and dear to my own heart, the work that they do. I also wanted to say a word about receiving this award, because actually, I hate to admit it, but I'm not the best parent in my family. The best parent in my family is here with me today. It's my wife, Elizabeth, who's right down here. And by the way, Harry, I was happy to hear that you have a modern marriage where everything is negotiable. I need some advice where everything is negotiable, because I don't seem to get that very much. Larry, I thought your speech was amazing. Moving, heartfelt, reminded me when I was listening to you of my own father, who was similar to a lot of fathers that you'll hear about today. Didn't go to college, worked very hard so I could have a chance to do what I've been able to do. I still remember when I was young, coming downstairs and seeing him sitting at the kitchen table, 5 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning, watching a PBS station, trying to learn, to educate himself so he could get a better job he worked in the mill, so he could get a better job in the mill. And I was always, such an extraordinary human being. That was what I wanted to be as a father. And I haven't met his standard, just like I haven't met Elizabeth's standard. But I will tell you that I had an experience in 1995, which was uplifting for me. I went to Africa with my 15-year-old son, Wade, to try to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And I had no mountain climbing experience. It's actually not that hard to climb, but it's a fairly high mountain. It's just under 20,000 feet. And my son had just come from spending 3.5 weeks at mountaineering school with Outward Bound in Colorado. And so he had a little bit of experience at this. And we'd always had a relationship where I was the big figure in his life and he leaned on me. And he was just 15 years old. So we started climbing Kilimanjaro together. The higher we got, the sicker I got. And I got a really serious case of altitude sickness at about 16,000 feet. And I still remember we woke up at midnight to make the climb to the top. Temperature was about 0 or a little below, the 40, 50 mile an hour winds. Conditions were ugly. And we started climbing, and I hadn't kept any food down for a couple of days, so I had no energy and was sick. And my son got to the place where I finally had to say, go ahead. I'm not sure I'm going to make it. Go ahead. And he did. It was in the middle of the night. He did. He left. And I was plodding along, sitting down every few minutes, trying to make my way to the top, becoming incredibly discouraged, thinking, I came halfway around the world to climb this mountain, and I'm not going to get there. Sometime around early morning, I don't remember, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I see this figure coming back down the mountain toward me. And it was my son, who had gotten to the top and had made his way back down to me to take me to the top. And talk about role reversal. And to see the pride that he had in being able to help the man who had always, from his perspective, helped him, and to watch him, first of all, be more concerned about me getting there than him getting there, and second, to have the strength and the courage to come back down and climb back to the top again, which is what he did. We were late getting up there. We finally did make our way to the top. And about 8 or 9 months later, I lost my son. He was killed in an automobile accident. But I have to tell you, that experience that we went through together, first of all, made me a better father for my other children, because I realized your children, it is true, your children learn not only from what you say, but from what you do. And whenever they do anything that you're proud of in your life, you'll be able to look back on the things that you taught them, both through your words and through your deeds. And I remember the extraordinary pride that I had then. I wish Wade were here with me today to celebrate this award, but my other children know about it, and I can't begin to tell you how honored I am. Thank you all very much.
Our next honoree gave me many a sleepless night. It's a great left-handed pitcher who I had to face for the last 10 years of my life, my career. What? He not only has a great arm and a wonderful repertoire of pitches, but he's also an extremely intelligent, both on and off the field. This Father of the Year played the first 16 years of his career with the Atlanta Braves and the past 5 seasons with the New York Mets. His page in the Baseball Encyclopedia shows him with 295 career regular season victories, 2 Cy Young Awards, 10 National League All-Star Team selections. In addition, he stands first on baseball's list of career postseason starts with 35. It's tied for second with past Father of the Year Andy Pettitte for most career postseason wins at 14, and earned the 1995 World Series MVP trophy. Off the field, he has been presented with countless awards for his humanitarian, civic involvements, community endeavors, and his caring for his fellow man. Our honoree, who is married to the former Christine St. Onge, has a daughter, Amber, and 3 sons, Jonathan, Peyton, and Mason. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pride to present a 2007 Father of the Year Award to future Hall of Famer, Tom Glavine.
Oh, broke the mic. Thank you, Ozzie. I don't know how many sleepless nights I gave you. That's probably being too kind. First of all, let me, like most of us up here, I want to thank the other half of my parenting relationship who keeps the fort settled when I'm not home, which is an awful lot as an athlete, my wife, Chris. She spends a lot more time home with the kids alone than I do because of what I do, but that'll be coming to an end shortly, and hopefully soon they'll all be sick of me being home. So you're always looking for a measure of what you are or how you are as a parent, and how your kids are and what they're doing, and we all love getting compliments about our kids, and fortunately we seem to get a lot about ours. But I guess I'm doing a pretty good job of keeping my kids grounded, because to be quite honest with you, they could care less about what I do. They're much more excited to meet Hulk Hogan and meet Ozzie and see Dwayne. So at least I know they're fairly grounded about what I do in life anyway. So you know, it's a pleasure to be here. I congratulate the rest of the guys here who are receiving awards today, and like everybody, I reflect on my dad and what he meant to me and what our relationship was. And, you know, probably like so many people, I didn't get the full scope of it probably until I got older, when I was, I guess, 18 or 19 years old, and had signed a contract to go play professional baseball and was away from home for the first time. And you really start thinking about all the things that your parents did for you and what they mean to you. And you know, I get asked all the time as an athlete, you know, who was your role model growing up? Who was your idol? And growing up, I grew up in the Boston area, so, you know, Carl Yastrzemski was a big guy that I liked as a baseball player. Bobby Orr was a guy that I loved as a hockey player. And while I knew I wanted to do what those guys did someday, you know, my idol growing up was my dad. I mean, my dad was what it was all about. You know, as much as I wanted to be Carl Yastrzemski or be Bobby Orr, you know, my dad was the greatest influence in my life. He was the one who taught me right and wrong. He was the one who taught me commitment. He was the one that taught me how to take care of a family. And like I say, you may not necessarily notice those things, and you probably get aggravated at time to time when you're a kid because you want to go do something and they tell you can't, and even though you don't quite know that they're telling you no because it's in your best interest and it's to keep you safe, you don't always understand those things until later in life. And you know, my dad was just such a huge influence on me. I can't tell you how many times, like I said earlier today, being a construction worker and having his own company, I'd see him, or I wouldn't see him, I should say. I'd get up to go to school at 7 o'clock, you know, in the morning, and Mom, where's Dad? You know, he left 2 hours to go to work because he wants to get the job done today so he can see your baseball game at 2 o'clock this afternoon. And you know, there was such a commitment to me that it was just blown away by his desire to do that and not miss out on anything that I was doing or my brothers were doing. And that's something that, quite honestly, I take a lot of pride in today, that when I am home in the off season, there's not a fall baseball game that I don't miss. There's a hockey game I don't miss with my kids, and that's something that I'm extremely proud of. And you know, in finishing up, I'll say one of my favorite quotes, and I don't always get it right, but one of my favorite quotes that I try and live by is from a very great baseball player, Jackie Robinson. And it was Jackie who said that a true measure of a man's life is the impact that it has on others. And as a parent, there's no greater opportunity to have an impact on somebody's life than to be a father. And it's so important, and it's such a big responsibility to day in and day out shape your kids and teach them right from wrong and give them a right example. Because in this day and age where so many of us, whether it be athletes or entertainers, are glorified and put on a pedestal, and nowadays it seems so many of them for the wrong reasons. There's a ton of bad influences out there on our kids, and it's so important as a father to make sure you put things in perspective and give them the right example day in and day out. And as I've often said, I only hope to be half the parent to my kids that my dad was to me. So thank you very much.
That's Father of the Year honoree ever since I first saw him perform on the basketball court. When the pressure is on, he wants the ball in his hands. Quite simply, he is considered to be one of the most clutch, dominant, talented, and popular players in the game today. He was the 5th overall pick of the Miami Heat in the 2003 NBA draft out of Marquette University. A quick and accurate shooting guard, he has been selected to play in the last 3 NBA All-Star games. Just last year, he helped lead the Heat to their first NBA championship and was named the NBA Finals MVP. He was a member of America's World Championships of Basketball squad and earned one of the most prestigious titles in all of sports, the Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year. This guest is a superstar off the court as well. His numerous community and charitable involvements include providing tickets to each home game for various youth organizations, hosting a week-long free summer camp for more than 600 youngsters, and renovating the gym at his high school in Oak Lawn, Illinois, and hosting an annual Christmas party for South Florida kids. He and his wife, Siobhan, are the parents of 2 sons, Zaire 5 and Zion Malachi Aramis, who was born on May 29th, 2007. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome 2007 Father of the Year, Dwayne Wade.
Thank you. I'll hold it. I was thinking to myself when I was looking at this award, I kind of felt like I was getting an Oscar. So I'll tell my grandkids that story one day. I'll make up something, say I got an Oscar without even acting. You know, first I have to give all praises and all the honor to God, who's ahead of my life and who has blessed me through many short years of my life. I wouldn't be here without him. I also like to thank the National Father's Day Committee and Council for choosing me as one of many great fathers to be accepting this award amongst the other great men up here. I think I can safely say that I'm the youngest. Hulk, is that all right? All right. You know, being 25 years of age and you know, having a son at the age of 20 and in college, really not knowing what to do. You know, and coming from a broken home where I didn't have my father in my life the way I wanted to, I really had to, you know, fiend for myself and go look in the mirror and say, how do you want to raise your son? And, you know, I just said that I looked in the mirror and said, well, you're a pretty decent guy, so make sure he's better than you. And that's what I try to do every day. So I wish my wife can be here today, but she can't travel yet. Like, you know, like Ozzy just said, we've been blessed to have another boy, Zion. He's been on this earth for about a week now, and you know, he's truly adorable. Okay, adorable. And she's back home taking care of the kids, which she does an unbelievable job at. So, you know, I'd like everybody to give her a round of applause, and she's not even here. Thank you. I can honestly say that I wouldn't be standing up here today if it wasn't for my mother, who shocked me and has shown up and is in attendance today, Jolinda Wade. Stand up, Ma. That is, she is truly my role model. You know, I really look up to her. And if anybody, you know, read the Sports Illustrated article that I was in for Sportsman of the Year, you know, it really touched on some of the things that went on in my life and her life. And it's truly amazing that she's a pastor today, and she traveled across the world to tell people, to try to get, you know, people to live life the right way, and she does a great job at it. So I love you, Mother, and thank you for being here. And last but not least, you know, my son, Zaire, that's 5 years old. You know, I'm kind of selfish. I want to be his favorite NBA player. And you know, I have been that for a while. You know, every time him and my nephew play, he always say, "I'm D Wade," and I feel good. Until I walked in his room yesterday and he was LeBron James. And it just really, you know, it just really, you know, clicked to me that I got to get back on the court. So I had shoulder and knee surgery 3 weeks ago, and I'm working my way back to be on the court for my son. Can never say he's LeBron James again. No, but thank you guys, and I appreciate it.
Our next Father of the Year holds the rank of 4-star general and recently became the 36th Chief of Staff of the U.S. Army. He previously was commander of the multinational force in Iraq, a coalition of more than 30 countries. In addition to his 32-month leadership role in Operation Iraqi Freedom, this 37-year veteran also was involved in Operation Joint Endeavor in Bosnia and many other operations around the globe. He earned an undergraduate degree in international relations from Georgetown University and a Master of Arts from the University of Denver School of Foreign Service, and is the recipient of numerous distinguished and meritorious service medals. Of course, he also is the son and namesake of another great U.S. military leader who served in 3 wars and rose to the rank of Major General before his death in Vietnam in 1970. Our next honoree and his wife, Sheila, have 2 adult sons and 5 grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you now 2007 Father of the Year, General William G. Casey, Jr.
Thank you. Thank you all. We're not like politicians. We don't get much applause. Well, thank you, Ozzy, for that kind introduction, and it's great to also be able to congratulate my fellow honorees. And I had to remind myself when I was standing between Hulk Hogan and Dwayne Wade, what we say about the Casey's athletic prowess. We may not be big, but we're slow. I'm also especially honored to be recognized for something I'm most proud of, actually. Because of all the things that I have done in my life, I'm most proud of my sons, Sean and Ryan. Now, we've had our moments, particularly in the teenage years, but I honestly think that if you asked them today, they'd tell you they were quite satisfied with what I learned in the last 15 years. It's been wonderful watching them grow into men of integrity and compassion who are wonderful fathers in their own right. And I can't claim full credit for that at all. Being a military father, I haven't been around a lot. And my wife of 37 years, Sheila, has done a lot of mom and dad work. So God bless you, Sheila. I love you. And fortunately, they also followed in the Casey Luck tradition. They married well. And so their brides, Laura and Jennifer, keep them on the straight and narrow. Now, I would also like to use this opportunity to recognize the military fathers that will be deployed around the world this Father's Day, defending the ideals that make this country great and preserving our way of life. Being a military father, particularly in a time of war, isn't easy. You balance the needs of the nation with raising a family and teaching your sons and daughters. So it's not easy, it's tough. And it's tougher when the military father becomes a casualty of war. And over the last 6 years, since the World Trade Center and the Pentagon were attacked, there have been over 5,000 Army children who have lost parents, and their sacrifice can never be forgotten. I would like to close by reading you a poem that was written by a soldier that captures some of the emotions that soldiers feel about their families. It's called A Soldier's Prayer to His Son. Fate has caught me on this day. Death now comes to take me away. Before I give the Lord my soul to take, one last prayer to my son I make. Listen, my son, I speak the truth. Squander not your time or youth. For never you'll know when your day is here, so cherish all which you hold dear. Love your family and your friends, for they'll stick with you to the end. Let burn that celestial fire inside, or to yourself you will have lied. And now, my son, I pray to thee, never ever forget me, that I died a soldier's death to keep you free with my last breath. Now, my son, the truth is told. Always remain strong and bold. Always keep yourself in good standing, for to you everything I'm now handing. The torch I now give to thee, hold it high for liberty. Let the flame burn forever unbroken, so you'll never forget the words I've spoken. This was written by Sergeant Dennis Flanagan, who served in Iraq in the 101st Airborne Division, and he was killed by an IED in January of 2006. But I think you'll see the values that he speaks of in that poem are the same values that we all cherish in parenthood. And I can tell you, you can be very, very proud of your men and women in uniform. They represent the best of what this country is all about. And I ask that you keep them in your prayers. God bless you all. Thank you very much. God bless America.
Our final Father of the Year honoree is arguably the most famous pro wrestling superstar of all time. World Wrestling Entertainment exploded across America when this man replaced an injured Bob Backlund and defeated the Iron Sheik for the WWF Championship on January 23rd, 1984 at Madison Square Garden. He has headlined at least 10 WrestleMania shows in his career, including WrestleMania 3, when 93,173 fans packed the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan to see him body slam 500-pound Andre the Giant. His success and magnetism brought unprecedented mainstream attention to pro wrestling, even landing him TV and movie roles. His popularity in and out of the ring has made him an idol of both old and young, and he is often heard urging youngsters to say their prayers, eat their vitamins, and live a good life. In his highly rated VH1 TV series, which is taping a portion of the final episode of season 4 right here today, viewers get an inside glimpse at Linda, his adoring wife of 22 years, their 18-year-old daughter, Brooke, who is on her way to becoming America's next big pop star, and 16-year-old Nick, a typical teenage boy whose primary interests are cars and girls. Imagine that. I give you a man who seems to be bigger than life itself. 2007 Father of the Year, Mr. Hulk Hogan.
Wow, this is quite an honor. Boy, things are changing. Usually, when I'm in New York City, I'm doing the character thing. I'm going, hey, brother, let me tell you something. I'm going to grab that 700-pound stinky wart-infested giant and slam him all the way to the 100th row. You know, things are changing a lot for me. I mean, I'm too old to wrestle anymore. I tried wrestling a few weeks ago in Memphis and blew my knee out again. I had it cut on 2 weeks ago. The hair is gone, so I look more like Bozo the Clown now, with a do-rag off my head. And my kids are getting so big, it makes me realize how old I really am. Being honored here today is, without a doubt, the best honor I've ever had. I mean, in the so-called fake world of professional wrestling where we never get hurt, things aren't reality-based. Recently, you know, we opened our home to the whole world, and the perception of the Hogan family changed a lot. People saw that, you know, not only am I still a screaming, ball-headed maniac wrestler, but the rest of the world got to see that, you know, I was a father and a husband, and that sometimes maybe I crossed the line with running too tight of a ship. You know, after watching the news as of late with Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan, I beg to differ with you. Yeah. You know, recently we kind of went back to where I grew up in South Tampa. And everybody was kind of shocked because no one had visited the old home where I grew up, and it was a very small wooden frame 2-bedroom house that in my bedroom, my brother and I stayed in the same room. We had to sleep vertically in the room. It was so small because our heads and our legs weren't the right size for the room. The room was too small. So when we went back, I watched my kids' faces when they walked through the house, and I think they got an idea of how far we've been, you know, since I've been married to my beautiful wife, Linda. I don't know what the future holds, but all I know is I've got 2 great human beings for children. When I look at the news and I see what's going on today, I'm very proud that being a father was easy for me. I mean, the kids are great. My daughter Brooke, who's 19 years old, is probably chosen the hardest profession in the entertainment business. Being in the music business makes Vince McMahon look like a joke. Believe me, the promoters, the music business, and everything that I've learned over the last 5 years, it's unbelievable if you can even get your foot in the door. The other thing that, you know, keeps me awake at night is my son Nick, who's 16 years old, and he's a pro driver for Mopar. He drives the Viper in the new Drift Series. After the event today, we're heading to St. Louis because he's racing this weekend. So being a father and receiving this award probably needs to be divided 4 different ways. My son, my daughter, because they've been great human beings and they've been easy to live with and get along with, and my wife, Linda, because she should get the Mother and Father of the Year award. She taught me not to be a friend first. She taught me to be a parent first. She taught me to rule with an iron fist when I just want to kind of like get along with the kids. And I was so worried about being their friend. My wife made me realize that being a parent first is the most important thing. And when I was in high school, a few years back, things were different. I mean, kids would sneak a beer and drink a beer after the football game and stuff like that. But today, times have changed. If you drink beer, if you drive, you see what happens. You know, you're in front of the whole world. Kids, you know, it's so different. I was telling my wife the other day, when I grew up in Tampa, Florida, there were 4 police officers. Now there's probably, who knows, 4,000. But times are different, and you need to be a parent first. That's what I've learned. And with everything ahead of us, I think my kids are going to be great parents. I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate this award. This, without a doubt, is better than slamming Andre the Giant. This, without a doubt, is better than winning world titles. And to be up here with the rest of these guys, this makes me feel like I've made it. So thank you guys so much from my heart. I love you. Thank you.
I think I'm always lowering the mic here. So we still got the raffle to do. I thought they were actually presenting Scotty here with the Stanley Cup, just the top of it. But before we do the raffle, I just wanted to thank a few people. First, I wanted to thank the 2007 National Father's Day Committee for their outstanding efforts. Really, truly an unbelievable team that has put in a lot of long hours, hard work. We have Stuart Goldblatt, Glenn Shannon, Malcolm Robinson, Paul Rosengard, Scott Paulworth, Todd Kahn, Sunil Sani, Lily Sidorovich, who, by the way, did the whole room, which looks fabulous, Chip Thompson, Harry Harrison, Peter Fagan, Joe Rivers, Jack Essig, and Pam Simon. So thank you very much. I'd also like to thank our terrific sponsors. Without you, this wouldn't be possible as well. Our platinum sponsors, Peerless Clothing, Phillips Van Heusen, the Sani Family Foundation, and Ross Stores. Our gold sponsors, Men's Health, Sean John, Polo Ralph Lauren, Cody Inc., Jeffrey Bean, Condé Nast Productions, and Well Dyeing Factory. And our silver sponsors, Macy's Bloomingdale's, J.C. Penney, Atochu Prominent, Perry Ellis, Lord & Taylor, Bonton, Fishman Tobin, Joseph Abood, G3, Kelwood, Oxford Industries, Rockaware, Warnaco, Kids Headquarters, Nile Clothing, Egyptian VH, and Texman Fashions. So thank you very much. And you know, Malcolm, that's almost double the amount of sponsors as last year. So you really did a terrific job with your team. So thank you. Also, a very special thanks to Men's Health Magazine, who is just an incredible partner for running our online contest and all of our printing needs, from save the date cards to the programs to the invitations to everything that you see. And they've always gone over and above the call of duty. So thank you very much to Men's Health. And when you all walked in today, you had about a 75-pound gift bag sitting at your table. And this gift bag is definitely the greatest bag I think we've ever put together, and it couldn't have been done without all the hard work and the coordination from Kathy DiBernardo, who just did a terrific job. I'd also like to thank those companies that gave to the bag, which are Cody Inc., Calvin Klein Neckwear by Superba, 17th Century Suds, Timberland, Gold Toe, Two Exists, Macy's Merchandising Group, Haven Hotel Collection, Asako, Mulberry Neckwear, Deer Foam, Fossil, Talbot's, Men's Health Magazine, Jockey, Izod, and I can't even say this last one, I'm sorry, Ms. MYVISRX. So if anyone can say it, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'd also like to thank our media group, Silverman Media and Ira Silverman, for all of their work. And then I'd also like to thank especially Joel Oakes and Jeffrey Tweedy and Mark Shriver and Eric Bethel for your help with helping us with some of today's great honorees as well. Okay, thank you also to my father, Ronnie Wurzberger, for... Wow, so he actually has Ozzy cheering for him now. That's pretty cool. For all his advice, ideas, questions every day during our commute. And we always talk about the luncheon and what we can do. And the great ideas that he comes, I kind of steal and tell the committee they were mine. So thank you. Also to all my coworkers at Peerless for all their tireless help and all year long with all the help that you give. So thank you very much. And then last but not least, we'd also like to thank Ozzie Smith. We'd like to thank Ozzie Smith for being today's MC. We have a little gift for you. Whoa. I guess that means the show's almost over, huh? A little gift for Ozzie, and it's very hard to get something for the man that really has everything, but Ozzie's true passion now that baseball is over is really golf. So we've got him a nice gift certificate to a national chain golf store.
Well, thank you. Let me say, I don't know about you guys, but there's nothing greater than being able to sit on a Thursday afternoon and hear people talk about the relationships that they have with their parents. What a great way to spend an afternoon, and thank you for allowing me to be part of it.
Thank you. Once again, I just want to thank everyone for making this day such a great day. And please remember your fathers on Sunday, the 17th, and we look forward to seeing all of you next year at the luncheon. Thank you very much.